What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie Importance Flashback Reviews, where we take movies from our past, break them down, and tell you what we think about it. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button at the top, and comment below on any of these videos. Tell me what you think. So we finish up the trilogy of Toy Story movies. The next one, of course, will be Toy Story 4, and we're going to go ahead and talk about Toy Story 3. And the first thing I could say about Toy Story 3 is Espagnole Buzz. Guys, this is one of the greatest moments in any animated movie series I've ever seen in my entire life. I actually completely forgot about this sequence in Toy Story 3, and it's amazing. Basically, what happens is when you learn that Lotso and his crew are kind of like a Godfather-style prison people, they are taking over the Sunnyside, and they've controlled it. They've reset Buzz. Well, when the crew, his original crew, like with Woody and Jesse and so on and so forth, reset Buzz again, they turn him into Espagnole Buzz or Spanish Buzz. And it is some of the most funniest things I've ever seen, some of the most entertaining things, and just pure joy and pure great writing. And that's what makes this movie so special. That's what makes this movie so entertaining, is those moments. This movie is about moving on, about accepting the fact that your owner, your loved one, are growing up. They're becoming different. You have to accept that fact because, when people move on, when people pass away, when, kids get older, things change. And that's also what this movie's about, is change. It's about the characters having to realize that they're not going to be Andy's toys for too much longer because he's going on to college. The movie takes place about 10 years after the second movie. And you see a kind of camera footage of Andy growing up and then the toys being not really used anymore. And it's a very just deeply moving movie, a very deeply melancholy movie, but a very satisfying conclusion if this were the conclusion to the Toy Story franchise, which it was originally going to be. And it's just so remarkably good. This one, of course, is written by Michael Arndt. It's actually directed by the co-director of Toy Story 2, Unkrich. And guys, if you haven't seen the Toy Story franchise, for one, definitely watch it because it's definitely to the heart of growing up in nature. But this movie is just so well paced, so well written. It has an emotionally satisfying punch gut at the end that you cannot go out of this movie without having shed a few tears, and that's what makes it amazing. And the story starts out, like I said, we see Andy growing up, we see the toys growing up with him, and they are kind of stuffed into this toy chest he's always had. And it basically means that they're not being used anymore, and they're worried. They try to get Andy to play with them, and because he's a college grad, or he's going to college, he's not going to play with them anymore. And he decides to put him up in the attic to figure out what they're going to do with it, because college, Andy's mom has figured out, telling him he needs to figure out what he needs to do with the stuff, which is what happens when we go to college or move out of the house. So they get mistaken for garbage because he puts them in a trash bag. They get sent out to the dumpster, and they find themselves in a box that goes to Sunnyside, this little daycare, I guess you could say, called Sunnyside. And there they meet a whole new cast of characters. They meet, Ken, who's played by the genius Michael Keaton. Is probably the standout of this movie. The leader is played by Beatty, who plays Lotso. And they have all these other cool, just characters. They have this big gigantic baby who's like the one that little kid uses, like a little girl uses as growing up. And, there's some other characters. And he falsifies their feelings into getting him into this room where a bunch of preschoolers are playing with them, that ends up like destroying them almost, paints them, and, gets them in all bad shapes of sizes and shapes or whatever. And they have to find a way to escape. So it's like the Great Escape with Steve McQueen, in a way where they're being held back, but they need to find a way to escape. And in the process, Woody, who is trying to get back to Andy because Andy's actually figured he's going to take Woody with him, he ends up in the house of a character named Bonnie, whose mother helps run Sunnyside. And there we meet a whole new cast of characters. We meet Timothy Hutton's Mr. Picklepants, which is an amazing thespian porcupine. We meet Bonnie Hunt's character, who's like this little stuffed animal or stuffed doll. We meet, Jeff Garlin plays Buttercup, which is a stuffed unicorn. Kristen Schaal plays the Trixie, which is the Triceratops. And they're the well-loved, they're the characters that are given a home, kind of like Andy did with his toys. And Woody kind of mixes in with them, and he meets this clown. The clown tells him about what happened with Lotso and the baby, and then they try to escape, and then they of course ends up in a garbage dump or garbage pile, at a garbage landfill. And at that point, what happens. They try to escape the landfill. They almost get killed by the flames of the trash being burned alive. And then probably one of the greatest callback moments in the Toy Story franchise happens, where the green aliens rescue them and with the claw, which is amazing. There's actually a couple of really cool moments with pork chop. They use ham at the very beginning. And there's some really cool, the death by monkeys gets brought up again. And there's some really cool callbacks with Sid, who's now works as a garbage man. If you know him, he has the big skull on his shirt. So that's how you know it's Sid. And of course, Lotso gets his comeuppance as being attached to the garbage truck. But it's just incredible that a franchise, a trilogy of movies can run so dramatically intense and satisfying that you get a franchise that's so now beloved. And it's funny, you never think of a third movie in a trilogy or a franchise being that good. People like Return of the Jedi. I like Return of the Jedi. It's okay in a lot of people's books because of the Ewoks. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, the same story. Godfather Part 3 is considered one of the worst in the franchise, one of the worst movies ever made. And we have a movie here that deals with a lot of emotion and just gives you a sense of what it's like to grow up. These characters are never going to grow old. They're never going to grow up, but they're always going to be there for whoever owner they get at the end. And of course they get, he takes all the toys and gives them to Bonnie. Andy gives them to Bonnie. And it's just so incredible. The set pieces in this are so incredible. The Sunnyside stuff is incredible. Everything is incredible. The very beginning when you see the sequence where they're doing the train robbery, that's so amazing. And it's also incredible to watch, just the way that the characters with the upgrades of CG and the upgrades of visual tech, what Pixar has done with rendering of hair, how much better these characters look. And I've heard that it's even a step farther with Toy Story 4. And as always, we get, our returning characters. We get, Tim Allen, Tom Hanks. We get Don Rickles. We get, unfortunately, Jim Varney had passed about 10 years prior. So we got Blake Clark, who from a lot of Adam Sandler movies. He's taken over for the role. He does a perfect job. We have John Ratzenberger. We have all these characters, Of course, Joan Cusack is playing Jessie. It was sad to see that Annie Potts wasn't included in this cast, but there's a very emotional moment in the movie where it explains that, Bo Peep was basically kind of traded off or given away. And I'm so glad they brought her back in Toy Story 4 as kind of a emotional character arc, because she does so well with the character. But yeah, I still think Toy Story 2 is the better, because I think this one gets really kind of dark for kids. I think Toy Story 2 has a little bit more lighthearted nature to it, but you can't deny what everybody's doing here. You can't deny how good this movie became, because it was supposed to be different than what we got. And just the fact that if this was the capping moment of this movie franchise, it's just such a great payoff, because when you see all the toys at the end, you see that they're happy, you see that they're content, you see that they're sad they're leaving Andy, but they get to see a new life, a new form of person in their life, and they get all these new characters. It's so emotional, and you can't help but tear up. And it just, Randy Newman's score is back, and it's just a fantastic score. And you can really feel the energy come out of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, because they've worked basically side by side for, was this 95, 05, it came out in 2010, so for 15 years, and they worked together recording, so they weren't separate. So there you got that emotional impact. And, there's some really cool moments with, like, Mr. Potato Head, when he's trying to escape, he becomes a tortilla shell, and he's fighting off a pigeon, and then he becomes a cucumber, and he gets stuffed in a box. The fact that, like, the kids, when they're, like, beating the heck out of the toys, it almost feels like a horror story. And just the fact that these toys are having lives when the Sunnyside is closed, and it's just the, like, craziness that they're imbuing and stuff like that, and just the way it pays off is just so good. But Toy Story 3 is just fantastic all around. It's one of the best animated movies of all time. Like I said, I still, personally, my opinion, Toy Story 1 will always be my favorite. But when you look at the whole arc of the franchise, you can't help just think how good Toy Story 3 fits and feels. And that's credit to Michael Arndt, who did stuff like Little Miss Sunshine and did a really nice job with it. That's the reason he got hired to do this movie, and it really shows. That the emotional impact near at the end is just, it gets you every single time you watch it. So, but anyways, that'll do it. That'll be my take on Toy Story 3. I can't wait to see Toy Story 4. I hope it's as good as everybody's talking about, everybody's saying. If it is, I will be excited. I'll probably come in tears. I don't know. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button at the top, and comment below. Tell me what you think. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.